It was great to hear from Andrew Tate. You know, I'd never spoken to him before. So you, me, him, Alex, Myron, total red pill Avengers moment. So
red pill Avengers. Holy cringe. It's also so sad to see that, like, now, like, because Sneako is a really good like an alpha identifier. Like, if you put Sneako in a room, he'll instantly get on his hands and knees and crawl over to suck the whoever he thinks is the alpha in the room. And right now for him, that's it's Nick. So now he's just like here, like wagging his tail, like a little puppy. Like every time Nick says something nice about him or like includes him in his group, it's so pathetic. Holy shit.
Excuse me, total red pill Avengers moment. So that was really exciting. But
with a true free market of ideas, if people are able to debate and the ones that are persuasive win, and you know, maybe that's more true.
I think that was a great space, Suleiman. I got to give you props for hosting that. Mario especially was getting a lot of like flack before, people calling him controlled opposition. I think he was just playing the optics game. Let me bring on some opposition to push back, because that's like, if you realize any.
God, I hate this stupid slimy cuck. And he's a bigger. I don't even mean a cuck for like the. I mean he's a cuck in terms of like sitting in the chair and watching Fuentes like everything that he thought he believed in and like clapping along or whatever, and getting humiliated at the same time. Like, freedom of speech and free exchange of ideas is actually really important, but I think that Mario was when he brought on opposing opinions. I think that freedom of speech and free exchange of ideas is incredibly important when we all talk and agree with each other, but I really didn't like it when they brought on people that disagreed. I think we should have the freedom to say anything we want, but I really didn't like it when that one guy said things that I didn't want to hear. Like, how can you not hear like how you're being? Like, it must be that like maybe he shot a lot of guns and he's deaf, so he can't hear himself speak. So he's like mixing up words or confusing definitions, and he's like deluding himself into thinking he's saying something reasonable, but he's actually just like completely out of touch with the words that are coming out of his mouth. I don't know.
On some opposition to push back, because that's like, if you realize anything with Nick the past couple of years, you can platform him as long as you have pushback, which is like probably got to be one of the most annoying things. Like, it's a historical moment to be reinstated. A historical moment. The fake Muslim guy is over here, and it's like conversion to Islam, Fuentes getting unbanned on Twitter, and then me going to Mecca. This is like the top 3 moments of his grifter life right now. Historical moment because some got unbanned from Twitter. Christ. Like, it's a historical moment to be reinstated, a big win for free speech. And then immediately all the hall monitors got to come in and try to obfuscate and make the discussion about something else. And if people really wanted to make the argument for like government institutions having a ton of power, or really wanted to make the argument that there's still crazy shit that goes on that I'm not giving these guys enough credit for, all they would have to do in a debate, imagine Andrew Tate being like, you don't think the CIA or the FBI is such a crazy domestic or psyops anymore? And I'm like, no, I think there'd be evidence of that. I think we'd see something. And imagine Tate's like, tell me, the Sneako that you see today, you really don't think that this one wasn't swapped out 3 years ago for another one? I would be mind fucked. It would be over for me. I would have to unplug the stream and take like 3 weeks off just to even consider how I would respond to that comment. I have no idea. I have no idea what the I would say in response to that. Escape and make the discussion about something else, and then talk about Wikipedia articles. Like, look at how much of a bot, and he always is a bot. Like, Wikipedia. Like, holy, who talks about anything related to Wikipedia in this conversation? It's like he knows like 6 terms. It's so funny. He's like the same as like every virtue signaling leftist cuck. Like, instead of colonialism, Western imperialism, and white supremacy, it's Zionism, Wikipedia, and like the World Economic Forum. Like, it's the same grammar with a different vocabulary. It's the exact same game with just like, I don't know, different courts. It's like, it's so stupid. And it's like so obvious too. Oh, I think I said that at least. Thank God. And Tate had the worst response. People that work in media are the most like social media hungry people in the universe. You think that all these people in all these networks across all these countries are getting fed the same marching orders and nobody's leaked anything, nobody's complained about anything, nobody's said anything? And why do we think that mainstream media is any more insulated from these problems than alternative media is? You guys will make fun of the marching orders from mainstream media, but I bet every single alternative media guy in here is anti-vax, thinks COVID came from a bioweapons lab, thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine, thinks that all the charges against Donald Trump are made up, thinks
thinks that we shouldn't be supporting Israel. Like, you guys have literally copy pasted the same opinions between every single one of you, and you guys are talking like an army of NPCs about how the mainstream media gives you like fabricated opinions. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yes, we do all think the truth. That is.
Oh, crazy how truth can be a perspective there, huh? But when you all think the same thing, it's not a conspiracy, but when the mainstream media does, it is a conspiracy. Crazy how that works. Because I think I said something like, you guys are NPCs too. Like, you all believe in the same things. And I named off like 5 things, and Taylor's like, well, that's because we're right. Wow, you think you're right? Wow, bro. How unique are you? My God, I can feel the triangle hands forming in my brain with such an enlightening statement. You think you're right and everybody else is wrong? No way, Chief.
Wikipedia articles. So in the future for like upcoming Nick Fuentes spaces, which I think are going to continue to be huge.
Is he about to give a guideline on how to make this as anti-free speech as possible so they could celebrate their freedom of speech?
Nick Fuentes spaces, which I think are going to continue to be huge. If you look at this as like a post space and there's already so many people here, I would just say, let's try to limit the amount of yappers who are just trying to deflect the conversation.
Actually unbelievable. What a cowardly what an actual cuck. Like, Sneako should be like a Buddhist or something. I like, at the very least, choose like a more pussy religion, right? Because like, at the very least, if you want to talk about Muslims, if you want to talk about Islam, be my guest, because religion. But like, you can't say that Muslims are pussies, okay? Muhammad was a literal warlord. This motherfucker signing treaties and then torching tribes as he marches through the desert, laying waste to the enemies around him, okay? With the, like, Christians have, like, we call it divinely inspired. When a Christian argues about their holy book, they're like, well, the Bible is divine inspiration. I'm like, what is a Muslim's like, what is divine inspiration, man? And you're like, well, it means that God influences a guy and he writes what he thinks God is saying. Like, isn't that how yours is written? And they're like, no, the Quran is the word of God. And they're like, oh, like, divinely inspired? No, it's just the word of God. There's no argument. Like, everything about Islam is so much more, like, hardcore. They've got politics, they've got warlords as their figures. Like, they've got, like, Jesus is walking around like kissing people's feet and washing them with his hair, and Muhammad is chopping them off. Okay, like, everything is so much more hardcore. So how do you get somebody like Sneako who's like, guys, if we want to do spaces, can we not have the opposition in here? Like, let's just like make sure we can all talk and not get interrupted. Like,
someone else joined the call, I believe.
Oh yeah, like 20 people messaged me and they were like, Sneako's trying to get into the call. Sneako's trying to ambush you. Sneako's trying to join. And I was like, well, let him in. I don't give a we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a chill conversation, you know, maybe it'll be good for viewers, you know, maybe it'll be whatever. Anyway, so Sneako decides to join, and he's there to do his like 74 IQ Muslim grift, and it's like literally, I guess, like shooting fish in a barrel, but he wanted to come and like try to eat like XQC out of the barrel, and yeah.
What happened between you and him and during this call? It got a little heated from what I remember.
I don't know. He came in to like preach and give a couple like of his programmed NPC lines. And then I asked him like a couple of really basic questions about the new religion that's supposedly been the centerpiece of his life for the past year, and he couldn't answer a single one of them. And then he got ass mad and flustered, and then he ran off to all of his griper friends and everything afterwards to cry about how unfair and evil I am, and claimed that I ambushed him despite the fact that he joined that call that I was already in. So yeah,
interesting. There was a time when you were friends with him, or at least friendly, if you will. Shared a snack, if you would, at a restaurant. There was a time. Anyways, a long time gone. That's over. That was a very exciting whole... I almost felt like Nebraska Steve was flowing through your veins when that happened. Do you know why? Because it's so rare, if you're watching DGG chat, to see the Abathur emotes just flying by at a... It must get you rock hard seeing that. You're like, yeah, I'm doing it when that happens, yeah? No? I like it personally.
Problem with Sneako is just like the perfect combination of like smug and stupid. So like, imagine there is like a serial child, but imagine that he is like handicapped. So like, you can beat it out of a cripple finally, but they're like a child serial, so you don't have to feel bad about it. That's what arguing with Sneako is like.
You think
it's like beating up a
to you,
handicapped
there's no challenge whatsoever.
Serial child.
Could you have gone harder? You felt.
Maybe, I don't know, not much harder. No, I would give him space a little bit to talk to XQC, and I would let him kind of...
I wonder with these people, because when you have someone like, you know, Russell Brand on YouTube saying this kind of stuff, or with Alex Jones, I wonder how much of it they genuinely believe. I mean, a decent example is someone like Sneako, who seems to have like done a total 180 on a lot of the stuff he was talking about, and now he's like surprised that his 12-year-old fans are like, women, which I mean, it's kind of a funny clip, but that's obviously the audience he was trying to cultivate, right? Trying to farm. And now he's like making fun of his former self all of a sudden. He's like, you know, I'm not just gonna be like, wake up every day, wake up, the Matrix is coming, you know, but that's like what he's been saying for like 2 years. Like, obviously that's what his audience wants him to do. And if you go to his Rumble comment section, they're all like, you're a traitor.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is the combination of Sneako changing his view a lot, but morally grandstanding every single step of the way. That's the issue. So he's literally building up the most judgmental fans ever, but then he keeps like doing 90-degree pivots on what he believes. So yeah, invariably he's going to pick up a bunch of fans that are being super judgmental on his current beliefs, because that's the exact type of audience he's built.
And I feel like I don't know. You know him a little better than I do, so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like his red pill thing was almost like a very cynical, calculated thing to like get to the top. I don't know how much he actually believed from back then.
I think he believed it. I think he's a young man. He's impressionable, and anytime he sees another guy he respects, he just copies all. So,
but I feel like before he was doing that stuff, like I feel like he'd already encountered those ideas and was like rejecting them. Like I feel like it wasn't like the first time.
Maybe there wasn't a guy that he got obsessed with that he could like, you know, imbue with all of his respect and then copy. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Because I feel like he almost was like he wasn't pro cancel culture, but he liked to make fun of a little bit like the culture warrior types, you know. I remember he did an interview with Shane Gillis where like he wasn't trying to push like the, for those who don't know in chat, Shane Gillis is a guy who went on SNL and then he got canned like a few days later for some old jokes regarding Asian people. Now he's like one of the more successful comedians in the stand-up scene. But I remember Sneako did an interview with him, and it wasn't like Sneako like had a more nuanced take on it. He wasn't trying to get answers out of him like Steven Crowder would, right? It wasn't that kind of level of stuff. But I remember there was this one particular point when Sneako made this video. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about like pickup artistry, and like he like hired like a pickup artist person, which is why it's so funny looking back, because he hired one and like clowned on him a little bit, and he was just like a total fraud. And then he was like filming women in public, and he was like, it wasn't like in a creepy way. He was just like filming random people on the street, and he was talking about like how people perceive the dating market and stuff like that. And Hassan made this reaction at the time, and it was like one of the most brain dead reactions I've ever seen, where he called Sneako like an incel. He's a weird, creepy incel freak. And I feel like Sneako saw this, and I remember he made a response where he was like malding about the fact that Hassan can just like watch videos on his channel and just get like 100 times the money Sneako got, get like 100 times the views, 100 times the fan base. And then I remember like right after that, Sneako starts streaming on his second channel, and then he like discovers Andrew Tate, and like he's like learning his ideas, and at first he's like, oh this guy whack, and then he's like, oh this guy based, like he comes around to him. And I just feel like it almost felt very forced and like a cynical arc he was on. I feel like he opportunistically saw the red pill stuff blowing up and saw like a way that he could connect with the youth.
I mean, you can say that it's a grip, but you can also just say that like, why does that stuff blow up? It blows up because people see it and they believe it, right? So like,
I don't know if Sneako does. I feel like Sneako's just a liar.
Okay, maybe. I mean, if he does, he lives that lie in every single part of his life. He lives it in his relationships. He lives it in his private life. He lived it in his public life. He lived it in his connections. Like, if he grift, he's grifting so hard. He's like 700 IQ, grifting every single part of his life.
But I feel like he's not. Like, he's grifting publicly and then privately. I mean, I just saw DMs from, I think, his girlfriend or something about MDMA and getting drugs. He was like anti-drug or something not even that long ago.
Yeah, but hold on. Let's do this. Can you define a grift? What do you think is a grift? Because maybe, yeah, I feel this.
To me, a grifter is someone who, in public, will like say one thing about their beliefs for like financial or like opportunistic gain, and then like privately they won't live their ideals whatsoever. That's like a grifter to me.
Wait, say that one more time. Sorry.
Okay, someone who publicly will say one thing and like promote one idea opportunistically for money or clout or fame or whatever else, and then privately they don't live that lifestyle whatsoever, and they aren't really committed to those ideas.
Okay.
Is that not what a grifter is? I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, it's just someone who's like basically like, you know,
yeah, I guess
lying.
It could be. Here, this is kind of like how I draw the line, but it's like, obviously this is very fine. I guess you could call somebody a grifter. When I think of grifter, what you just described to me just kind of seems kind of like a weak hypocrite. But I feel like a grifter to me is somebody that is like very intentional. So when I think of grifter, like so like let's say Sneako was like, yeah, I talk about this Muslim blah, 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 blah. And then in his private life, if you were to approach him and you'd be like, okay, talk to me about this Muslim,
and he'd be like, bro, like obviously I do money, like in the private, like I party and I do, and like, you know, yeah, obviously like this. I feel like Sneako, the reason why he had the differences in his private and public life weren't because he was like a hardcore intentional grifter. It was just because he was kind of like spineless. Like he would say these things like publicly and he'd try to believe them. And then privately, he'd also try to believe them. But then if you confront him, be like, well, you know, I'm not perfect and I f up. But it's just because he needed the validation from girls. He liked doing whatever. So, I mean, like, I think you could still call it a grift, but it's not like a grift in the way that like an intentional like person would be like, yeah, I say public as I get money. It's more like a grift just because he was too weak to live up to the ideals that he wanted to get credit for publicly supporting.
Well, in terms of the people who actually like say something publicly just to get money, and it's like 1,100% intentional. And
Sorry, say that one more time.
I was just gonna say, how many examples of like a true grifter in your mind actually are there? Like,
well, like that's
not that many, probably.
It's just in my mind personally. I feel like it's really, really hard for me to call like I feel like it's really, really hard for me to call people grifters when they're like 20 and 21. But I feel like
is that because people at that age rarely live their ideals? Is that it?
Yeah, and because they're so mindful, they change beliefs all the time, and like there's a whole bunch of like other going on or whatever. But like I feel like grifter was more applied like when people were talking about like people that work at like Fox News, for instance, right? That when people are when people are like, they're 45, they go on, they do the news, and then they go home and they're like, yeah, I'm just like reporting, I back the Republican Party publicly, but I know blah, blah, blah. Oh, so for instance, a real life grift, I don't know how politically active you are, but did you follow the Dominion lawsuits on Fox News at all?
That was over the voting machines?
Yeah, so that's an actual grift. Conservative pundits were going on TV and saying the election was stolen. We think that these machines might have been involved, and privately like, bruh, this is absolute. We know this is a lie. That would be like an actual. Those things would be like, that's like a grift in my opinion. But I
guess I'm more loose with my definition.
Sure, yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
can see you saying like 20, 21, 22-year-olds are like grifting, but it's like, bro, when you're, and this sounds condescending, I'm sorry, because I realize you're like 21. But like, yeah, kids are always
just
like,
go ahead, be condescending.
yeah, you guys are like changing your mind like every year or 2 or 3 anyway. Like it happens, it's supposed to. So it's hard to like accuse me like, you're grifting. And it's like, no, I'm 22 now. I don't believe the same I believe when I was in high school, you know? Yeah.
Isn't Sneako like 25 or 26 though? He's not that young, is he?
I think he's 24, yeah.
Let me see, you're born. Oh, actually, he just had his birthday. Just had his 25th birthday, September. Damn. Happy birthday, Sneako.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I just the way he so quickly switched as soon as like I feel like Fusi coming on the scene was like an event horizon for a lot of those streamers. Where now people like Aiden Ross, instead of talking about Emily BLM or whatever, now they're gonna start doing IRL streaming. And they already have done it for a bit, but now they're kind of delving into like the Ice Poseidon realm, which will definitely be big for a bit, and it will definitely have like a big peak. But I mean, long term, I mean, we see what happened to Ice. I mean, he's not in like a horrible position, but those communities have huge peaks and huge valleys. And there's also a lot of like, you know, just opportunistic freaks trying to come on, constant swatting attempts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now Zerka's like a part of that as well. I wonder if he like regrets getting banned on YouTube now. I wonder if he like looks
he
back on
must,
that.
of course, right?
I feel like that's such a huge opportunity. Like, sometimes I'll get from people in my community who are like, Tom, you're too safe. Like, you won't do this or talk about this topic. And it's like, I don't think people who aren't in the position of like having a decent sized YouTube channel can comprehend the massive opportunity that comes with having like a decent sized platform. Like the amount of money that Google AdSense can provide to you, the amount of audience that YouTube as a whole like has the potential to let you access is unprecedented, and there will never be a platform where you'll ever get that same level of attention.
Yeah,
ever.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
Very true.
Yo, who just joined? Lauren.
Lauren, what's
Yo,
up? How's it going, buddy?
I'm here for watching the destruction of Sneako and just taking it all in.
Well, I feel like he's kind of like leveled out for now, right? I don't think he's like
He's reached like a plateau on the bottom, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, I think he's considering he's been like deplatformed from everything, I think he's in a pretty healthy spot, no?
Yeah. I mean, relatively speaking.
Like he still seems to be, yeah, and he still seems to be connected to a whole bunch of different people. So, I mean, yeah. I think that's another thing I figured out too. A lot of people bought like all of their social medias. It's insane. You see like Sneako's 1.6 million followers on Instagram.
I could believe maybe he had that. I mean,
look at his engagement on like
Twitter. This guy gets like, yeah, it's not, no.
That's true, but he had a really big peak. Like he did. Like if you go to his engagement on his Instagram, like he's not getting like 1.6 million likes. He's maybe getting 100,000, maybe.
No, yeah, his engagement actually looks real, but I noticed that I think he deleted a whole bunch of pictures too. So I think he paid to bot all the individual pictures, and then he deleted the ones he don't want to spend money on because he's only got like 10 pictures on there now, and then 1.6 million followers. But
back
keep
in the day
mind
when he
that,
was
like,
still. Oh, go ahead.
Keep in mind that like when he's going on other streams, Sneako's like in his Discord like begging people to go to those streams and post like W's and stuff. Like he did that for his last Aiden Ross stream. He's like, guys, I need you to go to a stream and put W Sneako in chat because a lot of people are ragging on me there.
When he was on his red pill arc or whatever, sorry, one second. It's on the streamer. When he was on his red pill arc still, like 4 or 5 months ago, he had just gone to Rumble not that long ago, I want to say. Actually, it had been a bit, but he was currently trying to do this business strategy of farming YouTube hate for like getting fans. So he would be like, all the soy boys. He made the soy boy collage, you probably remember, which was like Critical, Hassan. I was on there. He eventually took me off. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I didn't make the cut anymore. I was like, it was like me next to Nick is not green, and he was just like, look at all these like soy boy white guys, which is like true. I am a soy boy. I love soy. But I was on that collage, and he had made this proposition on stream. He was like, any of these soy boys want to debate me, they can all debate me at once. Like they can all 10v1 me and I'll win. And so I instantly like I saw that, and so I messaged him. I was like, yo, I'll debate. And then like it just never, like he just constantly ducked me and avoided me. And then like the next day I like tried to get on, and he was like, no one in my chat knows who you are. Like, why would I debate you? Which is like probably true. I bet no one in his chat does know who I am. But like he literally like clearly extended an offer. Like everyone needs to debate me. So I was like, okay, I will come on and talk to you and like call you. And then he instantly just backed off. Which is once again like the performative like nature of what he does. Like he's more of like a TikTok dancer for like teenage boys than like anything else. Like he's not like a thinker in any kind of any kind.
Yeah,
and he was just like 1 month ago, and now like I saw him on stream with this like Asian girl with big old titties. He was like trying to. He was like clearly he was like, oh, you do. Oh, this, you know, no hate, no judgment, no hate. Like that's crazy. That's like mind boggling that that's the arc he's on.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.